A son's identity shattered. The falconry legacy crumbles under a decades-old secret. In the heart of Port Charles, where secrets are the currency and family legacies are empires built on shifting sands, an ordinary afternoon at General Hospital became the epicenter of a revelation so profound it threatens to shatter the very foundation of the illustrious falconry family. What began as an innocent visit transformed into a life-altering crisis for young Rocco Falconeri, who stumbled upon a truth that would unravel everything he believed about his life, his family, and his very name. A single, forgotten folder, a relic of past deceptions, has resurfaced, unleashing a storm of betrayal, heartache, and questions that will ripple through every corner of the city, reigniting old wounds and exposing a conspiracy far deeper than anyone could have imagined. Part 1. The Fateful Discovery. The air in the General Hospital staff break room was thick with the mundane aroma of stale coffee and antiseptic. For Rocco Falconeri, it was just a quick stop during a visit to his mother, Lulu Spencer, who was undergoing a grueling physical therapy session. He was a son supporting his mother, perhaps planning to grab a soda before heading home. But fate, as it so often does in Port Charles, had a cataclysmic detour planned. Left carelessly on a table was a thick manila folder, its tabs starkly labeled, Private Westbourne. It was a name that held a complicated, shadowy place in his family's history. Dr. Britt Westbourne, the woman he knew only as a footnote in his origin story, a villain who had once caused his parents immense pain. A flicker of adolescent curiosity, a pull he couldn't ignore, led him to pick it up. His intention wasn't to pry, but as he thumbed through the papers, his world cracked wide open. Inside was a trove of ghosts from the past, faded ultrasound reports, dense medical records, and old GH memos. But it was a single sheet, a formal document, that stopped his heart. At the top, in cold, official type, was a name he had never seen before, a name that was somehow his. Subject: Ben Albrecht Westbourne, now known as Rocco Falconeri. The words hit him like a physical blow, a thunderbolt that stole the air from his lungs.
Ben?
Albrecht? These were not his names. The Falconeri legacy, the Quartermain blood he shared, was his identity. This had to be a mistake, a cruel, twisted prank. His hands trembling, Rocco sank onto a nearby bench, his mind struggling to process the incomprehensible. He began to read, and with each line, the carefully constructed reality of his life began to crumble. The folder laid bare the sordid tale of his birth, a story he thought he knew. The official narrative was that Britt, in a desperate act, had stolen the embryo of his parents, Dante and Lulu, and carried him as a surrogate. She was the vessel, but Lulu was his mother. But the documents in his hands told a different, more devastating story. A printed DNA analysis, stark and clinical, showed a 99.9% maternal match between himself and Dr. Britt Westbourne. Not Lulu Spencer. The woman who had raised him, tucked him in at night, and healed his scraped knees was not his biological mother. The woman branded a villain was. The deception, however, ran deeper. Rocco's eyes scanned further, finding chilling notes detailing the manipulation of embryo records by Britt's own infamous mother, Liesl Albrecht. More disturbingly, a memo alluded to a secondary genetic experiment conducted by the late, megalomaniacal Victor Cassadine, an experiment tied directly to the very embryo that became him. He wasn't just a child born of a lie, he was a product of a conspiracy, an experiment. In that sterile break room, the boy known as Rocco Falconeri ceased to exist, replaced by a ghost named Ben Westbourne, a child of secrets and lies. Part 2. The Shattering of a World. The weight of the truth was suffocating. Rocco fled the hospital, the clinical white walls closing in on him. He didn't go home to the comfort of the family he no longer understood. Instead, he retreated to the one place that had always been a sanctuary, the Quartermain boathouse. It was a place of childhood memories, of shared secrets with his cousin and best friend, Danny Morgan. It was where they went to escape the endless drama of their complicated families. But now, that drama had found him in the most intimate way possible. It was there that Danny found him, sitting on the edge of the dock, the incriminating folder clutched to his chest like a life raft in a churning sea. Tears streamed down Rocco's face as he poured out the story, the words tumbling out in a torrent of pain and confusion. Danny, to his credit, didn't offer easy platitudes. He listened, absorbing the shock, and provided the one thing Rocco needed most, a steady anchor. "No piece of paper can tell you who you are," Danny insisted, his friendship a small beacon in Rocco's darkness. "Only you can do that." Bolstered by Danny's support, Rocco knew what he had to do. The next day, he faced the woman he had called Mom his entire life. He presented the folder to Lulu, the papers a physical barrier between them. The look of dawning horror on Lulu's face was its own confession. It was clear in an instant she had known. Perhaps not everything, but enough. With tears matching her son's, Lulu admitted she had harbored suspicions for years, a gnawing uncertainty that began after Britt's first sudden disappearance from Port Charles. But fear had silenced her, the paralyzing fear that the truth would tear their family apart, that she would lose the boy she adored. She reminded him of the life they had built, the bedtime stories, the nightmares she soothed, the love that was real, regardless of biology. "You may not have grown inside me," she whispered, her voice choked with emotion, "but you've always grown in my heart. You are mine in every way that matters." The plea was heartfelt, but the damage was done. Rocco's world was no longer defined by the love he had known, but by the lie he had just discovered. Part 3. The Fallout, a City Divided. In Port Charles, secrets have a life of their own, and this one spread like wildfire. The revelation of Rocco's true parentage sent shockwaves through the city's most powerful families, drawing lines in the sand and forcing everyone to choose a side. The news hit the Falconeri and Corinthos clans with the force of an explosion. Dante was caught in a maelstrom of fury and betrayal, a victim twice over, first of the embryo theft, and now of a lie that concealed the true identity of his son. His anger was directed at both Britt and Lulu, the two women who had, in their own ways, deceived him. His mother, Olivia Quartermain, reacted with the fierce protectiveness of a matriarch, her outrage focused on Britt for her recklessness in keeping such a damning file so accessible at the hospital. True to form, Sonny Corinthos moved immediately to contain the chaos. He launched his own private investigation into the document's sudden reappearance, determined to protect his family and uncover who was pulling the strings behind this renewed torment. On the other side of the conflict stood Britt Westbourne, a figure of renewed complexity. No longer just a past villain, she was now also a victim, a mother robbed of her child by the manipulations of Liesel. Britt didn't deny the truth. She confirmed that she had long suspected Rocco, Ben, was hers, but had been misled by her own mother. Her recent return to Port Charles had been, in part, a quest for the truth. She had secretly had the DNA tests run, but the file vanished before she could act, landing in the one pair of hands she never intended, her son's. The city found itself divided. Team Lulu championed the mother who raised Rocco, whose love was the only reality he had ever known. Team Britt sympathized with the biological mother who was also a victim, seeking to reclaim the son who was stolen from her. The conflict was not just emotional but legal. Questions of custody and guardianship now loomed, promising a bitter court battle. And weaving through it all was the sinister thread of a larger conspiracy. The mention of Victor Cassadine and a shadowy figure named Sidwell seen lurking in the background suggested that Rocco's personal crisis was merely a pawn in a much larger, more dangerous game. Sidwell, it seems, is poised to exploit Rocco's confusion, hoping to pull the boy into his own twisted orbit. Part 4. Tangled Webs and Intersecting Crises. This central crisis did not erupt in a vacuum. It exploded in a Port Charles already simmering with intersecting dramas, with the Falconeri Westbourne revelation casting a new, harsh light on the secrets held by others. The themes of paternity and deception echoed powerfully in the fractured relationship of Curtis, Portia, and Jordan. Curtis, who had so righteously divorced Jordan for her lies, was now confronted with his own hypocrisy, having so easily forgiven Portia for the monumental deception about Trina's true father. The simmering tension between the two women in Curtis's life finally boiled over, with Portia furiously flinging a drink in Jordan's face, a public declaration of a war that had been brewing for months. While Curtis avoids his wife and leans on his ex, Jordan is left to wonder if she is destined to be anything more than an emotional backstop for the man who broke her heart. Meanwhile, a tentative alliance between Brooklyn Quartermaine and Harrison Chase is complicated by the chaos. Brooklyn, who had unearthed the original Benjamin Westbourne birth certificate, is now a key witness, holding another piece of the explosive puzzle. Their shared mission is now entangled with Dante's personal agony, forcing them to navigate their investigation through a minefield of familial pain. Even the city's other residents are caught in their own webs of intrigue. A complex scheme involving Christina, Alexis, Ava, and the newly returned Nicholas Cassadine, masquerading as Rick, spirals with threats of extortion and imprisonment. Laura Collins, ever the vigilant mayor, uncovers a small but significant clue, a shared taste for dragonberry juice, that connects the dots between Ava and the mysterious figures of Liz and Rick. Ava, sensing deception, launches her own inquiry, determined to unmask the lies surrounding her. The drama extends to the older generation, with a comical yet telling spat between Tracy Quartermaine and Martin Gray. After a staged accident, Martin's plans to sue Tracy are thwarted, leaving Tracy to gloat over his misfortune. Her amusement is secured by the help of Cody Bell, who, in a surprising turn of loyalty, refuses payment from Tracy, cementing a strange but firm new friendship. Conclusion: a future forged in truth and lies. At the heart of this sprawling, citywide storm stands one boy. Rocco Falconeri's life has been irrevocably altered. He is adrift, caught between two mothers, two families, two names. Is he the Falconeri heir, a product of Port Charles royalty? Or is he Ben Westbourne, a living, breathing consequence of the Cassadine and Albrecht families' darkest machinations? The path forward is treacherous. Legal battles for custody are all but certain. The emotional fallout will test the limits of love, loyalty, and forgiveness for everyone involved. For Lulu, it is a fight to hold on to the son she raised. For Britt, it is a chance to connect with the child she never knew she had. For Dante, it is a struggle to reconcile the two realities of his son's life and his own history of being deceived. As the families prepare for war, the puppet masters watch from the shadows. The resurfacing of these documents was no accident. A larger game is afoot, and Rocco is the key. His journey of self-discovery has only just begun. He must now decide what truly defines him, the blood in his veins or the love in his heart. Because one thing is certain: once you know the truth, you can't unlearn it. You can only decide what to do with it and who you want to become because of it. The soul of Rocco Falconeri and the future of his family hangs in the balance. Thanks for watching this videos. Please hit the subscribe button for more updated news.